the heart of any of one of my robots is definitely going to be the weapon. And so I think it's time that we dive into Disinformation's weapon. The previous version certainly has a lot of wear and tear to it, but you know, I wanna build this into a screamer. So this is the weapon from Disinformation before, and you know, it's showing its wear and tear, certainly. And let's throw this on a scale. This was actually kind of heavy for a 30-pound robot's weapon. All right, so it's 9.5 pounds. It's on the heavier side. Now there were some upsides to this because this nice big wide weapon out front. You're going to get hit, definitely. It's this big weapon up front. The downside is the way this was designed. That sprocket was it was exposed. And you could see that it would take hits and it would cut the chain. And I got spoiled. The first event I took this to, I didn't have anybody touch the chain. I was like, okay, I think it's all right. And then every event I took it to after that, the chain got cut in virtually every match. So the redesign definitely has to address this, and I'd like to have the chain more, the drive system more central and then protected by the weapon itself. And you really can't do that with this particular design. So we're going to have to design things a little different. So these are going to be my new weapons here. Okay. These are cut similar in shape to the way the weapon is on Stink Eye, which was just kind of an easy way for me to CAD it. Just two half circles slightly slid off, big enough to give a tooth impact. Now, the weapon is definitely going to be lighter this time around. Okay, so the two discs themselves are just under 6 pounds. So once I have the hub and the shaft and whatnot mounted in there, it's going to be 8 pounds, maybe a tad more. So it'll be less than the weapon system that was on there before. But the spin circle is going to be ever so slightly bigger. And so I'm going to be spinning it at the same RPM. So actual kinetic energy numbers probably should be about the same. It might even be a bit more, even though it's going to be less weight. So I think it should work out fairly well. One of the reasons I decided to go with the twin discs is once I have that mounted on the robot, I'm going to have a belt driving in between them. So unless you hit directly between the weapon discs, the belt itself should be protected. Definitely going to be better protected than the chain was on the last setup. So it's going to be a fairly narrow cut, so it'll be a little harder for me to drive and make sure I'm contacting the other guy. But I think in general it should be a fairly solid way to build this. So going to be some changes, going to be different, but I think it's going to be interesting when it's done. So I had these discs water jet cut out of a piece of 14 millimeter thick AR plate. So these are AR 500. Very hard material. It's going to work really well for what I'm after. And instead of specifying that the bores and the mount holes were machined to size, I just had it all water jet. Right? And they didn't take into account the kerf line when they did this, and it wasn't specified to. This is on me. That's not on them. But the bottom line is that was supposed to be a 1-inch shaft. This is a 1-inch shaft, and you can see we are not anywhere near the right size. So I had to come up with some way to use these discs. And so quick measurement on that showed that they were just about 1.16 inches. A little minor cleanup with a Dremel tool. I had to buy 1.16 inch shaft. And so now we're maybe not perfectly sized, but close enough I think I can make all of this work. My only real worry right now is I had these cut for a double keyway, so I could make sure that the two of them stayed locked together. The keyway is also cut too big, so I haven't decided yet whether I'm just going to bolt it all together and run it, or whether I'm going to cut my own keyways, 90 degrees to those, and run it that way. So I guess we'll just bolt it all together and see how it works. The drive system for the weapon on the previous version was chain. And I've used chain in a lot of the other robots. Works fairly well. Previously, the frame was made out of plastic, and it would twist quite a bit under big hits, and the chain just sort of just stayed on. It actually worked fairly well. But the way it was exposed was always a problem. So I decided this time around I was going to use timing belt, more standard what everybody else uses. But I want to make the hub in the middle out of the timing pulley stock, and then I couldn't find a sprocket that was the right size for the weapon, so I just ended up buying some timing pulley stock to make all these pieces out of. So I've already machined the one for the weapon motor. Still need to put some set screws in it so I can hold it in place right there. This is going to be the hub material that's between the two discs. So I'm going to cut this off and sort of machine me a spot that I can set in between. That way the bolts can run through it, and I'll key the whole mess and bolt it all together. So this saved me from having to make the pulley stock, which I absolutely did not want to do. So we're going to do an 1/16" shaft, which is kind of non-standard. You can buy bearings, you can buy stuff, but it's not anything I had anything for here in the shop. So I had to buy an 1/16" drill bit so that we can run through here and bore that hub out so it's the right size. Now that the hub has been machined and ready to go, next thing we need to do is I need to cut a keyway so I can have it keyed on the shaft. So here we have the weapon assembly pretty much put together and battle ready. So the center section made out of the timing pulley stock is machined. It's got the bolt holes machined through it to bolt it all together. We did a double keyway on the shaft, so keys both sides. The shaft was an 1/1/16", but I had to trim it down on the ends because I'm going to use the same bearings I had before, which are 25 millimeters. So we got kind of a mix of, SAE and millimeter hardware. I like these bearings because they're, big roller type like that, but they can also handle a bit of thrust to them as well. So they're actually kind of good. And these are rated for something ridiculous, like 20,000 RPM. So those will be the ones I'll use for this setup. So I had to machine some mounts to hold it. So these are designed to hold these bearings. Let's get these guys in place. Alrighty. Alrighty. So I've probably got a little further machining on these to get these to do what I want. Probably machine for some forks to come out here. This will have to bolt back into the rest of the frame. But this is pretty sturdy. It's it's inch thick piece of 70-75, so it'll be able to handle the load when it hits something. Because I am planning on spinning this pretty fast, so starting to make some progress. This robot is eventually going to come together. Well, we're starting to make a little bit of progress. Got a drive system together that works just the way I want. We've got a weapon system coming together, so we're making some progress here. Maybe a little less progress than I would like. Life has been kind of busy lately. But this one's definitely coming together. As it sits right now, the next 30-pound event that I could see me taking this to might be the SCAR event down in December. And that, that's California. It's not too far of a drive for me. So that's not committing to it or anything, but that's kind of my plan right now, is I'm going to try to get this completed in time to take it down there. But, continue to follow along. We're going to keep making progress, and I think this is, I got a good feeling about this. I think this is going to work out really cool when it's all said and done.